The Selfish Giant. Let's read. Every afternoon, on their way back from school, the children would play in the giant's garden. It was a large, lovely garden with soft green grass. Here and there over the grass stood beautiful flowers like stars. The birds sat on the trees and sang so sweetly that the children stopped their game in order to listen to them. How happy we are here, they cried to each other. One day the giant came back. He had been to visit his friend. When he arrived, he saw the children playing in the garden. "What are you doing here?" he said in a very heavy voice, and the children ran away. "This is my own garden," said the giant. "I will allow nobody to play in it but myself." So he built a high wall around it and put up a notice board, "No entry." He was a very selfish giant. The poor children had now nowhere to play. They tried to play on the road, but the road was very dusty and full of hard stones, and they did not like it. They would wander around the high wall and talk about the beautiful garden inside. How happy we were there, they said to each other. Then spring came, and all over the country there were little blossoms and little birds. Only in the garden of the selfish giant it was still winter. The birds did not care to sing in it, as there were no children. And the trees forgot to blossom. Once a beautiful flower put its head out from the grass. But when it saw the notice board, it was so sorry for the children that it slipped back into the ground again and went off to sleep. "I cannot understand why spring is so late in coming," said the selfish giant as he sat at the window and looked out at his cold white garden. "I hope there will be a change in the weather." But spring never came, nor summer. Autumn gave golden fruit to every garden, but to the giant's garden she gave none. "He is too selfish," she said. So it was always winter there. One morning the giant was lying awake in bed when he heard some lovely music. It sounded so sweet to his ears that he thought it must be the king's musicians passing by. It was only a little bird singing outside his window, but it was so long since he had heard a bird sing in his garden that it seemed to him to be the most beautiful music in the world. "I believe spring has come at last," said the giant, and he jumped out of bed and looked out. What did he see? He saw a most wonderful sight. Through a little hole in the wall, the children had crept in, and they were sitting on the branches of the trees. On every tree that he could see, there was a little child, and the trees were so glad to have the children back again that they had covered themselves with blossoms and were waving their arms gently above the children's heads. The birds were flying about and singing with delight, and the flowers were looking up through the green grass and laughing. It was a lovely scene. Only in one corner it was still winter. It was the farthest corner of the garden, and in it was standing a little boy. He was so small that he could not reach up to the branches of the tree, and he was wandering all round it, crying bitterly. The giant's heart melted as he looked out. "How selfish I have been," he said. Now I know why spring would not come here. I will put that poor little boy on the top of the tree, and then I will break the wall, and my garden shall be the children's playground forever and ever. He was really very sorry for what he had done. So he went downstairs and opened the front door quite softly and went out into the garden. But when the children saw him, they were so frightened that they all ran away and all the garden became winter again. Only the little boy did not run, for his eyes were so full of tears that he did not see the giant coming. And the giant went to him and took him gently in his hand and put him up into the tree. And the tree broke at once into blossom, and the birds came and sang on it. And the little boy stretched out his two arms and flung them around the giant's neck and kissed him. And the other children, when they saw that the giant was not selfish any longer, came running back, and with them came spring. "It is your garden now, little children," said the giant, and he took a great axe and broke the wall. Ruskin speaks. Happiness comes to those who make others happy. Give and you shall receive. Do not be like the selfish giant.